Morning all, ACDodd here again, and today we're off on the road and we're going to Dorchester Mini Centre for more mini tuning. Right, first car of the day, we've got this nice little 850. This one I've already looked at before, but it's a lovely little car, this one, and the owner tells me at some point it's going to be up for sale, so perhaps it's one to look for. This little 850, it came into me before when I was at down here at Dorchester Mini Centre, and it had a worn out carburettor. So since I last visited, the owner's gone away, he sent me the carb, we've rebuilt it, and now it's on and it's back for a tune-up. So he's driven it here this morning. It was running a bit rich, so we've adjusted the mixture. The timing's out, so I'm going to sort the timing out, and then I'm going to go back to sorting out the carburettor, because I think the needle needs profiling, because the carburettor's been rebuilt to make this one fuel properly. So let's get into it and see how we get on. So with this little 850, we're over on the needle bench, and the AAE needle was a little bit lean that was in it, which is the needle I specified for this particular carburettor. I always try and make them lean for a new carb, just so we don't sort of ball wash the engine. And in this particular case, we got it's actually very lean on part throttle, so I'm just adjusting that now. I tried a treble A needle, but that was way too rich, so we need to dial this one in and get it spot on. Okay, this lovely little 850 was actually quite a way out on its tune. I had to take a considerable amount off the AAE needle to make the part throttle tuning right. So we've got good air fuel ratio now, and when you throttle it, she responds rather well for a completely stock 850. So the owner's just going to go for a test drive, and then we'll find out what's what. After the event and the customer had taken the car home, this is what he had to say about the experience. Okay, second car today, and the final car we're going to do, this little Mini 30. So this one's coming, it's completely standard. And I've had a quick look at the engine, and we've got a number of issues on this one. There's nothing major wrong with the engine itself, but it is quite out of tune. So what we have got here is the advance curve in the distributor is only given 11 degrees. So this is way off of where it needs to be for maximum power. So that needs to be changed. I can't do that today because I don't want to. It's got electronic kit in it, and sometimes when you disturb electronic kits that have been fitted for a while, they can fail. So what we're going to do is I'm going to, after this tune-up, I'm going to send the guy a brand new unit. Then he can swap over and set the timing himself. The other thing we've got, as per usual with a lot of standard cars, is the needle in the carburettor is much too lean for what the engine needs. So what I am going to do is sort the needle out today, and then at least when he fits the modified new Dizzy, then he'll get the full benefit. So let's see how we go with the needle modifications. This was a good example of a standard engine having a standard needle fitted, but was actually much too lean for the application. So quite extensive modifications were needed to get this one to fuel properly. Okay, we got this one running reasonably well. We sorted out the needle in the carburettor. The standard AAC needle was much too lean all the way across the rev range, so I've adjusted that to pick up the fuel in. Also adjusted the full power point as well to give it a little bit more at the top end. The only thing we haven't done is change the advance curve. So what I've done for now is just put a little bit more advance in, and as we can hear, that picks up very well. So the customer's going to go back and have a modified advance curve done to finish the job off. I did want to change it today because I didn't want to run the risk of having the electronic ignition unit fail because of taking it apart and putting it back together. It sometimes happens. Anyway, customer's very happy. He's been for a test drive, and it's let me know it runs a lot better. Following a drive home, the customer gave me some feedback on his experience. So after tuning those two cars, I just wanted to bring to your attention the condition of the end of my exhaust probe. Now, this is only two cars and probably, hour and a half's running, something like that. And look at the state and how dark and sooty the exhaust gases and the state of that is. Now, that's exceptional. It doesn't normally get that bad until I've done, a good many cars. But this is the state of some of the cars that people quite rightly need tuned. But there's a reason why I'm getting this now, whereas perhaps maybe a few years ago I wasn't. Of the two cars I was doing yesterday, both were at two ends of the spectrum. One was running very rich and the other one was running very lean. The information that the owners used was basically gleaned off the internet on how to set their carburetors up. Now, the problem with the information that you're getting on the internet is it's based on it's based on information which is no longer correct. Things like, how do I set the carburetor up to make my engine run properly? Or, wind the mixture nut down 2.5 turns from the top and it's all good. Things like that. Or use the piston lifting pin to get the mixture correct. None of these things work in today's environment for a number of reasons. But the reason why I'm bringing it up here is because it's becoming more and more of an issue when it comes to people setting up their own cars and, asking me to come down. So I'm finding cars that are extremely rich or extremely lean, for example. And a lot of the information that's about and available to owners with cars is simply false. So all I wanted to do is to bring to attention that if you are setting up your own car and you want it to run, when you get information off the internet that says things like, oh, just turn the jet nut down 2.5 turns and it's all good, right? No, what that's for is to get your engine started. As soon as it's started, you must measure what comes out the exhaust and adjust accordingly. Or you can quite simply bore wash your engine. So information that you get off internet forums isn't always correct and can be actually very costly and damaging to you, the owner, unless you, the owner, check to make sure that your engine is running correctly. Now, obviously, with the cost of fuel that we've got nowadays, this is a big problem because engines that don't run efficiently use a lot of fuel. What I'm seeing on cars are people that have no idea that their engine is running incorrectly. In fact, I get comments like, oh, it's running just fine. I just think that it needs a quick check over. And actually, when I look at it, it's way out of tune. So people have to remember, if it's too rich, it's obvious, okay, it uses too much fuel. If it's too lean, it's not so obvious, it still uses too much fuel. Now, the reason for that is because the engine misfires and becomes inefficient, so you need to put your foot down more to maintain the power, and you use more fuel. So, it's bad if it's too rich because it washes the rings out. It's bad if it's too lean because efficiency drops and your fuel economy goes out the window, as well as when you're running too rich. It uses too much fuel. So, the other problem we've got is people just turning the mixture nut to make the engine run properly. Now, that's one of the biggest problems that Mini owners have, and people with SUs is, they're the classic tinkerer. I'll turn the screw, make it run properly, etc., etc. Unfortunately, all you end up doing is ruining the person's engine. So, the mixture nut is there to set the idle mix, okay? And the needle is there to adjust the fueling when you drive. So if you set the idle mix and it doesn't drive properly, there's flat spots and things like that, it's likely that the needle's out, okay? Now, when we've got the modern fuel that we have now, the original settings that were once in books of yesteryear are no longer valid. So pretty much every application that you put in the original needle, it's not going to run properly, okay? And it will need tuning. This is the problem with using SU carburetors and thinking that, you know, they'll run the same as they did many years ago. The other aspect is, to think about that, is a lot of these cars never run right many years ago when they were first made either. So the only way around it is to make sure and have your car tuned. The other thing to think about is when I showed you that picture of the state of my exhaust probe, people are breathing that in, okay? Now, the reason why we have the rules and emissions is because of precisely that. So if people carry on driving their cars, okay, and not tuning them, highly likely they will be, you know, the emissions, or it will be more difficult to keep these things on the road in the future, because the government will want to make it worse, okay, and make it harder to pass emissions by reducing the limits or whatever they want to do. So the most important thing really is to make sure that your car runs properly and efficiently. It's good for your wallet, it's good for the life of the engine, and it's good for the rest of the you know, the motor trade business and the classic car market. So anyway, with that, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you soon. Thank you very much. Bye bye.